the kind you wear a tie. Button up from 9 to 5. I tried that life but said goodbye. I'm not always polite, but I get the job done. Who says that work can never be fun? I'm simply unprofessional. Simply unprofessional. Yeah. Unprofessional. Yeah. I'm unprofessional.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Simply Unprofessional. I'm your host, Webby. Joining me tonight, my very special co-host, Mr. Devin. Devin, how you doing?
I'm all right. How are you doing, Webby?
I've been better. I don't know. I've been sick today, and I don't even know why. It's bad.
Love you.
Love you too, Devin.
All right.
Speaking of which, for all the listeners out there, last week I had mentioned it, and a while back, Devin, because we are doing interviews with the Distractions Media crew on SU, and I said that I was going to be releasing those as bonus episodes. And a while back, Devin had approached me and said, well, you know, with us being the host and co-host of SU, you didn't feel like our interviews specifically should be bonus episodes, essentially. And I mean, at first, I wasn't completely on board. I had this vision or whatever, but it kind of grew on me, the idea that, you know, the listeners out there should you know get to know us a bit more as well, being the co-host and the host. And why we didn't do this sooner, I have no idea. I guess I never really thought about it until I started thinking about doing essentially interviews with all of Distractions
We're
Media.
unprofessional. That's why we didn't do this sooner.
Huh?
We're hyper unprofessional. That's why we didn't do this sooner.
Yeah. So last week I did mention that this week's episode was going to be our sit down with my very special co-host Devin here, and we're going to find out a little bit more about Devin's life.
You're gonna find out a little how boring I really am.
Now,
The jig is up.
I will say, I mean, first and foremost, both to you, Devin, and to the listeners, you don't have to talk about anything that you don't want to talk about. I know you and me specifically, we very much told the audience, and we live by the fact that our lives are essentially open books.
Yep.
But again, you don't have to talk about anything that you don't want to talk about. I'm not forcing any type of topics. If I ask a question and you don't want to answer it, we'll just move on. Just simply say you can't really answer that. These interviews, I've sat in on one so far that Austin conducted. And these interviews are they can be, you know, up fun and jovial, I guess, but they are meant to get essentially peel back the curtain so the listeners and the supporters of SU can learn a little bit more about us and our lives. So we can take it wherever you want to take it, Devin. Okay.
All right.
So I'm going to start this off. You live in Detroit.
Yeah. Suburb, but yeah.
Well, all right. I mean, is it still technically Detroit?
I mean, on paper, no, but I mean, it's close enough.
It's right there.
The Metro Detroit area, if you want to be technical.
All right. So that's like people in Texas who live in, you know, the DFW area. The DFW stands for Dallas-Fort Worth, which covers a large ground between those two cities. So you just say that, yeah, I'm from DFW, you know, DFW area.
Yeah, I mean,
you're neither from Dallas or Fort Worth. You're kind of just in that area.
Yeah, I mean, exactly, kind of the same thing. I mean, there's only a couple of, I guess, big, what you would call like cities people recognize. So like, if I'm like, oh, I'm from Southfield, they're like, well, what's that? And I'm like, around Detroit. Oh, okay. You know. And it's like, you know, that even Lansing, then you kind of can go there, Lansing, Grand Rapids, or GR. And then like
Grand
Muskegon
Rapids,
or,
isn't that where the American Pie movies took place or something? Wasn't that right up around there, Grand Rapids, Michigan?
Yeah,
I think.
yeah,
I don't know.
that
It's
sounds
like a
about right.
college. It's a college town.
Yeah, it's a college town. It's colleges up there. That's a college town. Lansing's a college town. Auburn Hills or not Auburn Hills. Ann Arbor, is a college town. Obviously, you have Michigan State, and Lansing, Michigan and Ann Arbor. You have the Detroit Pistons in Auburn Hills, or did they move the Palace? To the Palace still in Auburn Hills. Yeah. Not that I follow basketball really, but it's there.
Go Larry Bird.
Yes.
I mean, hey, I know he was a basketball player once.
He was him, and so was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. There we go.
Dude, remind me. I want to send you a video. I saw this insane video of Larry Bird highlights, and he was like, "Man, he loved fucking with people."
And also could not jump to save his life.
Well, I mean, he didn't really have to. He was super tall.
Yeah, I mean, it worked really well until he went up against what's his name? Wasn't it?
Someone
Yeah, it
else
was him
super tall?
versus Kareem. Yeah, it was him versus Kareem. That's, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was him versus Kareem. Or was it Wilt Chamberlain? Which one was it? Or was it Magic Johnson? Who was it? It was one of those. I'm not a basketball right now.
I'm not a huge. Yeah, I don't really follow basketball. Go Celtics.
God,
That's all I got. That's all
I'll
I
give it
got,
to
man.
you. I'll give it to you.
So, all right. So you live in Detroit now, or a suburb of. Now, is that where you grew up? Like, were you born there? Have you always lived there?
Pretty much. I mean, I was born in Southfield technically. Then lived in Southfield for a long time. Moved to a city called Royal Oak, which is like a small city. It's like a small city, but it's cool. Royal Oak is like a small town in the middle of everything. It's weird. Like you're really not away from civilization, but you also feel like you're away. Like you go down to like downtown Royal Oak, and you still have like the flower shop owned, like the individual flower shop owned by like the 75-year-old lady. She's like outside tending to her flowers, but like you just go across the street and there's like a megaplex cinema. it's a weird town.
All right.
It's a very small city. Like it's weird. It's a strange town. That's where I look. But Southfield is literally in the center of everything. It's pretty cool.
Well, if you ever need to buy flowers, go there and go to that little old lady's shop, man. It sounds like she needs the business. We actually have a little flower shop like that in Hooksett, too. Called Mr. B's. Although I don't think it's not there anymore. It used to be.
Mr. Beans.
Mr. B's.
Oh, Mr. B's.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So
it was interesting. I've been exposed to a wide variety. I think Dave Chappelle said it best. In two specials ago, he said, my parents made just enough money for me to grow up poor around white people. It's kind of true. It's kind of true.
All
so
right.
I had just enough money where and I went to school in a more upper class neighborhood. And it was funny. It never really hit me when I went out there until one day I was leaving middle school and I was with a friend of mine and he was hopping in our car. And we were getting dropped off at the library. And we get there. He's just like, oh, man, this was the most boring car ride ever. Where are the TVs? I'm like,
oh, my God. What?
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's fucked up.
Like it was at that moment I knew I was poor. I was like, oh.
Yep.
It's all right, though. It didn't really bother me that much. But anyway, going on.
So, speaking about growing up, what was it like growing up in your house? Run us through some of the events growing up in the Devin household when you were younger.
I mean, it was mostly nice, and then it wasn't nice. I love shut up, timer. Events around the household. I don't know. It's weird. We never really were. My whole family was never really big on family.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can kind of relate.
It was like me, me, my mom, my aunt, and my grandmother, and it's been our. Hold on.
Like we were bigger on the whole family aspect of things on my dad's side of the family. Uh, I remember anytime my mom said that there was a family reunion on her side of the family, she'd have to have a couple beers before she went. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Like, it's weird because my family on my mom's, like my dad's side and everything. Like, I never really. I don't say I never knew my family on my dad's side. I did. I knew one person specifically, and I hated going over my grandmother's house on my dad's side. I hated it so much. Like, they're all nice people. Like, my cousins are nice people and that. But it was a very, like, she was high up in a church. It was a very specific, weird lifestyle. Like, it was very weird. We were like, we started every morning with prayer. When I went over there, we then, had like, we were then ordered in a weird way. It was like, I wouldn't say ordered. It was kind of like softly coached as after we had breakfast, we all washed and cleaned the dishes by hand. It was 4 of us while like singing and humming church tunes.
You mean, wait, hold on. Not only did your car not have TVs, but you didn't have a dishwasher?
No, we did. But when I went over my so I lived with my grandmother, my aunt, and my mom on all my mom's side. When I went over to my dad's house, because separate, whenever my dad stayed with my dad, his mother, so my grandmother on my dad's side, staying over there was always interesting. Just because she was super religious and super into structure. Like, I remember one time she yelled at me because we were at McDonald's, and like I had a bunch of stuff in my hand, and I put I put the cup in between my legs to like hold like this balance to balance the cup. But it wasn't my cup. It was somebody else's, like, Coke or whatever. And she was like, "Don't do that. Like, people don't want their Coke in between your legs. Don't do that." I'm like, I got you, but I have a handful of stuff here. Oh, well, in the best way I could possibly say that, like 6.
Like, all right, you don't want me to hold a Coke between my legs, then why don't you hold some of the stuff that I'm holding so it frees up a hand?
Yeah. I mean, it was interesting. Going over there was always weird. Like, I didn't like going over there that much because it was just weird. Like I said, we started every morning. We'd wake up with like an hour of prayer. We'd eat breakfast. Then, like I said, after we ate breakfast, we'd all help in cooking, all help in setting the table. And after that, all the kids would get up, bust the table one by one. You couldn't leave the table until everyone was finished. You had to sit at the table until everyone was finished.
Oh, that would be a nightmare. Yeah,
you couldn't leave the table until everyone's finished. You had, you got like swatted if your elbows were on the table. You had to sit right.
Yep.
Breakfast, all that fun stuff. You got up, and then after that, all the kids got up. Somebody was on hand washing, somebody was on drying, somebody was on, putting up in the cabinet, and somebody was on sweeping and cleaning off the tables. And the whole time we were doing that, it was, church hymns and all the other fun stuff that we had to sing. And, it may have some fundamental reasons why I'm not a big fan of religion. I doubt that's not really it. I'm just not a big fan of religion for a variety of reasons, but it is what it is. But on my, my day-to-day life was actually pretty nice growing up with my mom and stuff. It was pretty nice. Yeah, I mean, I remember a lot from back then, but it's more the negative that stands out than the positive.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
that's
I know I had good times.
Is.
Like, I know I had good times, but I also distinctly remember the time my aunt and my mom got into like a physical fight, and I had just got out the shower in the bathroom. So then I was like in basketball shorts trying to pull my mom off my aunt. It was a really awkward time. I was like 8.
Yep.
Yeah, stuff like that. I never really was a fan.
Relate, man. I mean, it always seems like the negative. It's not so much that you don't remember, like you said, you don't. It's not that you don't remember the positives. It's that you remember the negatives in much more vivid detail.
Yeah, in much more vivid detail. Like I can remember the best Christmas I ever had though. Like, I was super into Batman, and one morning, and
how old were you on this Christmas? Roughly.
Oh God, how old was I exactly? I'm not sure. I want to say I was maybe 5.
You know what? Like, for the listeners' sake, how old are you now? I don't think we've ever really discussed this.
We've never discussed that I'm one of the youngest members of Distractions. Well, the core group of Distractions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 27 now.
All right.
So this would have been 90, like between 95 and I was like 3'5". Like I vividly remember, but I also remember I was kind of in, was I in a onesie? I don't think I was in a onesie. So I'd be like 5. It was like between 5.
Please, if you had the opportunity to have a onesie right now, you'd wear it.
I mean, you're absolutely right. I would. And I do.
I mean, I would too, but they don't make it my size.
I own a onesie right now, so I could wear a onesie, but I'm not going to do that to myself.
All right.
Mainly because nobody's on camera to see you wearing a onesie, so there's no point.
So your best Christmas. I'm sorry, I keep interrupting.
Yeah, no, it's fine. No, I came downstairs and it was like there was nothing under the tree, and I was like, "What the hell?" Right? Obviously, as 5, I didn't say what the hell. I was like, "This is weird." And then like they walked me around the corner, and we had this big dining room table with like that had like I don't know why it was only 4 of us. I don't know why she had this table. My grandmother had this giant dining room table like that had like different leaflets you could add to it to extend it out.
Yep.
So like it wound up sitting like 12 or like 14 at the end of it, and I'm like, I don't know why. So they had all the leaves of that huge table extended out with covered inch to inch, edge to edge, covered in nothing but Batman figures and like different play sets. And that was a really fun Christmas for me because I remember I went downstairs, I went crazy. Like it was like a bunch of action figures just covering this table, and it was really fun. I had a really fun time. I played a lot, and then I also had a train, like a ride on train when I was younger. They installed in the basement. It was weird. Like it was plastic, but I have never seen anybody else with this thing. Like it's plastic tracks, and when you laid it out, like it literally went around the entirety of the basement.
All right.
Like I don't know if they bought multiple. You just sat on it, and you could steer this thing around and just like ride on this track and like speed it up and slow it down and honk your horn. It was really fun. And
I gotta ask because
automated.
This sounds.
It was all automated.
This sounds stereotypical, and if I'm wrong, I apologize, but it very much does sound stereotypical. Are you an only child?
I am an only child.
All right, that I had to ask because everything you just said sounds like something that an only child would have.
For 9, I would say this for all intents and purposes, I'm an only child. I do have a half brother, even though I don't always consider him a half brother. But that came way later, and we don't see each other often. But yeah, I mean, so I mean, for all intents and purposes, yes, I'm an only child.
Well, I mean,
yeah. So I had this.
I'm right there with you as far as complicated family, like, because I mean, yeah, we'll find out. We'll find out next week when Devin interviews me.
Oh boy. But yeah, I mean, so
how many Batman figures did you get that Christmas?
I had to be like close to 50.
Did you get a Joker? Did you get a villain for Batman to beat
up? I had Batman, Joker, I had Riddler, I had Penguin, I had like 3 different types of Batmobiles. I had like the Batwing. Like, let's see if I can find the Batplane. I had the Batplane. I had a remote controlled Batmobile, the one from the George Clooney movie.
Now I was gonna say, were a lot of these based off of any of the movies, or were they more based?
So
off
I had to be like 5 or 6.
series?
I think George Clooney Batman movie came out in 99. It might have been the Val Kilmer one. Which one was that? Let me see. Batman movies. We can research as I'm looking this up. So Batman and Robin was 97. So I would have been 5. Yeah, no, it was Batman and Robin for sure. Had the Batman and Robin for sure, because I was 5, so that makes sense. Like I know I had the Mr. Freeze, so I was 5. There we go. I know I had that. Yeah, I had like the Batplane.
Okay.
From like 1997 Batplane. Let's see if I can find it. Actually, yeah, I had this exact set right here.
Now, did you have the insane fucking Batmobile, like the George Clooney Batman?
Yeah, I had that one, and it was it was automated. It had a little remote control attached to it. You could like roll it around, but it was back in the day for a wireless was a thing, so it had like this little thin cable that attached to it, and you could like drive it around. It was pretty fun. Yeah, I had the bat plane thing, this thing right here. I'll post this in general chat so you can see it, just to keep up with the theme of the podcast.
Oh, that's actually pretty cool for a toy, dude.
Yeah, it is. It was really cool. Like I had that. That was a really fun time for me. I had the Bat Submarine.
Well,
too.
Did you at least have a bat signal, or did you have to make your own?
No, I had a bat signal. There was like a little like bat. There was like I think it was weird because it was Wayne Manor. It was like a Wayne Manor. I don't want like dollhouse is the only thing I could think of, but it wasn't really a dollhouse, but because it was like huge. and it was like 5 pieces, but it had a bat signal attached to the back of it. It was pretty cool. I had that too. That was pretty fun. But yeah.
You
So,
for sure took that in the fucking tub with you, didn't you? It's a submarine.
You know I did. You know I did.
Yeah, well,
Fun times. Come on now.
Man, I had a rubber ducky and dinosaurs. That's all I had. I
had a lot of dinosaurs too. I found a book I had that like a book of dinosaurs. It was really fun. Like when I was cleaning up the basement like 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Good times. But yeah, I mean that was kind of my childhood in a nutshell. Like, a lot of good, a lot of bad. I mean, we went to a lot of family reunion stuff, but not like I was never drawn. And if I'm going to be honest, and we say I'm drawn to anybody's family more in terms of like my grandmother's side of the family is just assholes. Like all of them. Like they're
now. Is this the one on your dad's side or on your mom's?
No, on my mom's side. Like okay. On my mom's side, like the main family I grew up with. Like 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be talking about more so on my mom's side. But yeah, so they're just not like most of them are not pleasant people. Like to give you an idea, Uncle Al's no longer with us, God rest his soul, but he great uncle really, but whatever. He was pretty high up in GM. Like he had bank. He had a good chunk of money. He was
a game master?
No, like GM car company. Like he was like an executive when he retired as a GM car company. He retired as an executive in like the GM car company.
Jesus.
It was like,
all right.
Yeah, he had money. He had a good chunk of money. All the other kids graduated. I graduated high school and was going on to college. All the other kids graduated. They got checks for like $1,000, things like that, money. I got a tote of old books from the library. That's what I got.
Well, okay.
Yeah, I got a box in the mail. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I opened it, and it is literally just a dusty thing of books from the library with a note like, "Hey, read and learn, my friend. Read and learn," or some shit like that. I'm like, "Yes." What
do you mean learn? You just graduated from high school. You just done learned everything.
I was like, all right, I'm done with life right now. Like, okay, that's fine.
That $1,000 could have got you a whole hell of a lot more Batman action figures.
Could have got me a car. Like,
got yourself your own Batmobile.
And in some cases it was more than that. Like some cases it was more. Like I think somebody got like 5,000 in something. I got books. Like I got maybe $30 in books. Maybe. Now, from the library.
Now, is this because your relatives and your mother don't get along? So
no,
they just kind of
that's just how it is. Like it's just I don't know. Like it's weird. Like it could be some bullshit that went on that I wasn't aware of. But no, I mean like they're all friendly now and everything else. Just people on that side of the family. The Phillips is just terrible people. like I'm sorry, the Phillips is terrible people. But like on my grandfather's side, they're all great, but they all live down south. They're all like North Carolina, South Carolina, but they're all great people, like amazing people. I love them so much. But yeah,
Carolina's they're East Coast people.
Yeah.
That's why they're great.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there. Fellow East Coaster.
I mean, as am I. Well, I'm kind of-ish, you could say. Depending how you split the map up.
So your parents were separated.
Yeah.
Now, all in all, like overall, what were your parents like, and like what did they do for work?
My mom stayed at home with me. I think that was 2 or 3. Then she had a job at maybe I don't think I was maybe it was like 1 or 2, right around there somewhere. She had with me, and then then she had a job at like a Coney Island or like a diner that was in the mall down the street from us at one point, and then from there she got a job doing what was the next thing? She got a job at it was a job at Baker's. She had a job at Baker's while she was pregnant with me. That's what it was. She had a job at Baker's, which is a shoe store, while she was pregnant with me. And then after that, she went back, and was she working at the diner? Where was she working at? She was working somewhere. I forgot what her second job was. Then she ended up working at my daycare because I went to tutor time. For those of you out there who know what tutor time is.
I have no idea what tutor time is.
Tutor time is it's like a let me see, is it just a Michigan thing? Let's see. I don't think but it could be.
Now we know
no, I think
where Devin's
tutor time
fascination
got bought
of shoes
out.
comes from, by the way.
Tutor time got bought out. I think it's child time now. Child time. I think it's called child time now. Yeah, child time learning care group, which is part of the learning care group, which is based in Novi, Michigan. I don't know if it's all over the place. No, they're mainly okay. Anyway, so there's some other ones, but they're mainly located there. So
no, essentially, what is it? Just
it's just like an after-school daycare. Well, they have, it depends. So I went to KinderCare first. KinderCare was like kind of the same thing. It was an after-school program, but it was also like preschool. It was like preschool. You know, they had infants all the way up to like preschool, kindergartner, and then they had the older kids after school. Like when I say older, usually through elementary school, and you usually stop going after elementary school because they had like a white bus with like a panda on the side of it, which ironically enough, one of my nicknames came from tutor time because one of my online names came from tutor time because the mascot of tutor time was Pookie the panda bear.
Oh shit! Oh shit! I'm finally learning. I'm learning the origins of Pookie.
That was Pookie the panda.
Oh my
and
god!
He had this stupid, goofy-looking face. And I always laughed about it. And they had the costume in the back. Like they would dress. They have like one of the staff dress up and pass out balloons and stuff. They had the costume in the back. And I was an older kid because my mom worked there, so I went there I would walk from middle school over there. I refused to ride the bus because they had this like white. You're in middle school. They had this white like panda like bus that pulled up with like a Pookie the panda on the side of it. And pull up in the front of the school, and like, you have these kids like kind of getting on the bus, and I'm like, "Oh man, you're too old for that. That's no, that's terrible.
Never too old for
Don't do that." Yes, I was like, "No, I'm not doing that." So I used to walk, but then around there, right around then, middle school is when I met like my lifelong best friend guy I call my brother. Even though we have some issues now, but not really. Like we're still good friends. That's when I met him. He was right behind the high school. It was like a short walk, and that's when I started hanging out with them, my friend Alan. But yeah, I mean, my mom worked. Oh, sorry, back to my mom. We got off track for a second. So she worked at my daycare. Then after that, she got into selling eyeglasses, and that's kind of what she's been doing since. So she's been an optician since then. She's been an optician for the past like 15 or 16 years now. So that's what she's been doing. So yeah. And my dad used to do tech support for Comcast. Or back when they were with Media One back in the day.
Okay.
I think they were Media One cable back in the day or something like that. Yeah, he used to do tech support for them, and then he did his own thing, and then he worked for Apple at one point for tech support. And me and my dad don't talk as much. Like, it's really weird. Like, I've gotten into legit arguments with my aunt about whether or not I have issues with my dad. I'm like, no, I don't have issues with my dad. Like, I love my dad. It's cool. I just don't talk to him every day. Like, I don't need to talk to him every day. Like, I can pick up the phone and talk and call him right now, and we'll talk like we've known each other. Obviously we've known each other. But we saw each other yesterday for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Like, no big deal. Like, I just don't. I'm at a point in my life where it's like I don't need that in my life anymore. You know what I mean?
I gotcha. Yeah.
And me and my dad, I mean, we've had issues. Like, we've had issues in the past. Like, frequently, like when I was younger, he'd make promises to come, like, hey, I'm gonna come pick you up. You're gonna hang out with me for the weekend. So like, I'd get up in the morning, super excited, like pack my bag and like wait by the door all day, and he'd just never show.
Yep.
And it ended with me just like crying under a table. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what happened with that. But after a while, it was just kind of like, all right, well, I guess he's not coming. It is what it is. And then after a while, I just stopped caring. And then after a while, I stopped asking to go see him. And then after a while, it just kind of how it went down. But yeah, I mean, now when we reconnected, we're cool. But it's one of those things like, yeah, we're cool. But I mean, I'm happy to talk to you. If I'll come visit you and hang out with you or whatever. But I don't need to have the conversation every day. But my aunt's like, no, if you're not talking to him, you have a problem. She's like, you just need to work through some stuff. I'm like, no, I'm fine. Like, I'm not mad. I'm not upset. Like, I'm fine. So yeah, but yeah, right. We were talking about, but yeah.
All right. So that's what your parents did. Now,
Oh, now my dad owns a catering company.
well,
There you go.
does that mean he can get discounts?
Define discounts. I mean, if he's making the food,
Does that mean you can get discounts on food?
I mean, objectively,
Hey man, I'm game. I'll come to Detroit. We'll get
I
catering.
mean, he's not here. He's in is he in Carolina? I think he's in Carolina.
We'll go down there. We'll go visit Chris.
That's fine.
We'll get catering.
All right then.
I'm all about the food. Let's fast forward your life just a little bit. What was your school life like? I mean, we already heard about that one kid who got into a car and fucking was appalled that you didn't have TVs.
Anthony Eid. Good old Anthony. Good guy. Still friends on Facebook. Good guy. So, I went to school in a very affluent neighborhood. I was a school of choice kid. For those of you that don't know what school of choice is, basically, I won a lottery, and I could go to any school in Oakland County. And yeah, so which was the county I live in, and they chose probably the best school in the area, the best non-private school in the area, which is what they did. They drove me every day, but it just kind of sucked. I'm appreciative because I had to go to summer school one year, because I kind of just didn't care. My first 2 years of high school, I just didn't give a shit. I had to go to summer school, and I'm super glad I didn't go to school in the city I live in because I could take any summer school program class in the district and have it count towards my credit. When I say all schools are not created equal, all schools are not created equal. I took a math class. I literally slept every class and aced the test. And I didn't pay attention when I was in the actual school. Well, that's not even true. My biggest issue with schooling was I just didn't do homework. I could probably sit there and I heard everything. I participated in class. I just I refused to do homework. And they really they changed the system since then. But back then they graded homework so strict.
Yeah.
I had a couple of classes where it was if you do none of the homework and you get A's on every test, the best you can get is a C minus. And I'm like, well, I'm not. I'm good at this. I'm not A plusing every test, so I'm gonna fail. Fast forward to my senior year, of high school, they're like, yeah, you need to do they got sent to an alternative school to make up credits. And I was like, no, it's fine. I'll just try. They're like, no, I don't believe you. I'm like, no, seriously, it's fine. I'll just try. I haven't cared. I'll just care again. It's fine. No, you don't have to send me away. They're like, no, you can go there, recover the credits, and then we'll bring you back and you can graduate. I'm like, okay, that's how he's gonna be. If you won't take no as an answer. So I went to this alternative school behind credits, and then I graduated early.
Well, all right.
They're like, yeah, you're behind credits. I'm like, so I can just, because I had a 2-hour period where we would just do online classes. Part of it. That's how you made up credits. They would get you to just do online classes and stuff sometimes. So you had regular schooling and then that. And it was really funny. I reconnected with a friend, Jack. Actually it's Javid. Javid? Yeah, Javid. There you go. We all call him Jack though. But anyway, I reconnected with my friend Jack. And because he happened to go there, and I met some cool friends. And it was 3 of us who were all smart and knew what was happening. And then it was 3 intelligent kids with I would say 18 really dumb people, or people who were less. I would say about 13 really dumb people, 2 pregnant chicks, and 3 guys who were probably arrested on a drug charge.
Okay.
At one point or another. So yeah, I mean that's kind of what that was. So then we just quickly were like, "Hey, we're gonna just all team together." Because as soon as the project started, everyone looked at us like, "Hey, let's be partners." We're like, "Yeah, no, we're good over here. This 3-man team." yeah, this 3-man smart team. Because if I partner with you, I'm going to have to carry you, and I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what happened. We just partnered together and just carried, just played with, just goofed around with each other. It was easy, like literally the easiest thing ever. And then we had 2 hours of like, I guess, online core classes, and they assigned everything to you in the beginning, and they were like, well, just these are all the classes you can possibly do, just do them in order. Well, I'm sitting there and I was just like answering the questions like, okay, this is like, I was doing English like easy, because I mean I read at a college level when I was a sophomore.
Oh, Devin's a smart boy.
Yeah, I read it at like a college level when I was a sophomore, and I was like, well, all right. So I just went English. Like I just didn't do homework. I didn't care. Like so, I just didn't do papers and stuff. I didn't, and I hated reading what they told us to read, so I just never did it. Like true story. So I sat there, and then I was like, all right, well, I finished that module. Okay, that one done. And then it's like I would just do this, and over 2 hours, like it was like over this course of these weeks, it was just like, oh hey, you've completed the entirety of English. And every like 3 months, they would sit us down and like go over credits. Well, I did that with English. I did that with math. I did that with science. I did that with everything else. Right? I think it was English. It was English. What was it? It was English, social studies, and math. They didn't have a science portion, so it was those three. So I just did those three, and then I sat down. Like I was at the school, I think, for like 5 months. I sat down, and she was talking to me. She's like, yeah. She pulls up my credit. She's like, oh, wait a minute. And then she's like scrolling. She's like, oh. She's like, you could have graduated like 2 months ago. I'm like, oh, all right. She's like, unfortunately, you missed the early graduation deadline. She's like, if we had known about this, 2 months ago, we could have got you graduated early. You would have been, gone. She's like, but legally we can't, because I wasn't 18 at the time.
Yeah.
I don't think. So legally they're like, we have to have you in school. So they paid for me to go to college for the rest of the semester.
All right.
So I went to community college early for the rest of the semester and did that. And yeah, where I took 4 years of Japanese without knowing any Japanese.
Jesus.
Well, okay. To give you an idea, I took Japanese 1 in high school, Japanese 2 in high school, and Japanese 3 in high school. Japanese 1 and Japanese 2 I did fine in. Japanese 1 I did fine in. Japanese 2, we had a really bad kid who kept interrupting class, and the teacher could not control him. And instead of just sending him out, she would just tolerate him. And like, look, we can't concentrate. Like me and like 4 other people who had Japanese 3 next year, we're like, we don't know anything because we had to teach ourselves everything because she just did a terrible job of controlling one kid.
Right.
Instead of just sending him out and kicking him out of class, she just tolerated it the whole time. And he would just be in the back, like laughing with his friends, making jokes, like mispronouncing stuff intentionally. So I took Japanese, and then the Japanese 3, my third-year Japanese teacher knew the situation and felt bad and gave us all C's, even though we weren't really that bad. And then they're like, well, you got to have a language. And I'm like, well, all right, let's go Japanese 1. Thing is, funny story, college Japanese 1, not the same as high school Japanese 1. College Japanese 1, probably like Japanese 2 or 3 in high school. So I got in there and I was like, yeah, I'm not really prepared for this. I got like squeaked by with the C. They're like, well, you still need another language credit. You're almost there. I'm like, oh, all right, Japanese 2, here we come. Japanese 2 is taught pretty much entirely in Japanese. Well, spoken in English, written in Japanese. Okay. And there was at that point we started learning. It was like we didn't start learning kanji. Most of the stuff was in kanji at that point. And I was like, well, all right, okay. At this point, I knew I fucked up. Somehow managed to squeak by with a C, like literally only because the last test was multiple choice. It was like 75% of our grade. The last test was. And it was mostly multiple choice. I just managed to squeak by with the C. And they're like, you need one more credit to get like complete your language thing. I'm like, well, fuck it. Roll the dice. See what happens. Instead of taking like Spanish 1 or like French 1, or ironically enough, I was going to take Russian, but they had to cancel last minute because there wasn't anybody in high school. There wasn't enough people to sign up for it. I would have been speaking Russian. I could have got us that Russian listener, Webby.
Could have gotten that Russian listen.
Exactly. But yeah. So I'm like, hey, this, and they're like, if you want to take Japanese 4, so I was on Japanese 3. I met the requirement, and then I was like, I literally passed Japanese 3, I think, with like a C minus. Like it was like 1% above a D plus. Like
So
it was so bad.
I would be doing myself a disservice if I didn't ask. Can you say anything in Japanese right now?
Not like anything like of note. No, like not a like it was zero, it was literally zero retention at this point. It was one of those things if you don't use it, you lose it. And I was to a point at the end of Japanese where I could hold like a very small conversation in Japanese, and I could read. I used to be able to read and write pretty good. And I had pretty much reading and writing Japanese. I had up until probably 3 years ago. And that's kind of when the rest of it left me.
Okay.
So like not over the top, no, but that's how I do know my pronunciation still. I kind of can like look at something and be like, okay, that's how this would be pronounced.
Right. Now, do you have any stories from school, like that, things that stand out, whether it be from grade school, like middle school or high school?
I will tell you the story of this is a middle school story of the great bike adventure.
Oh boy. Okay.
Martin Luther King Day. We're riding. Okay. We're riding. Me and my friend Alan. It's like 96 degrees outside in February. I don't know why. No, was it Martin Luther King? No, it was Memorial Day. There we go. Makes more sense. It was summer. Martin Luther King in February. That's not right. It was Memorial Day. And we're riding. And I'm like, okay. I hear this snap. I'm like, all right. Fuck is that? I look. I'm like, oh, my brake doesn't work anymore. My brakes aren't working. All right. So, Webby, if you're riding your bike and your brakes don't work, what is the likely subjection? Like, as a kid, what would you do? What would you do?
I mean, this has happened to me.
But no, I mean, like you stopped. So you successfully stopped your bike. You're
Right.
like down the street from the house. What do you do?
All right, so you successfully stopped your bike.
Yeah. I
down
was in
the
no
street.
danger. We're down the street. We're still in the subdivision. We're just down the street. Like
You got
that's
no
it.
brakes.
No brakes, but whatever, right? So what would be the logical solution there? What would you do? You're down the street from your friend's house. Yeah.
I
What would you
mean,
do?
logically, I mean, keep in mind, you're in a suburban / city.
Yeah, like I mean, this is
landscape here.
Yeah, I mean,
I would
this
say
is literally my friend lived in a cul-de-sac. We were in
Yeah.
a cul-de-sac, like think Ed and Eddie old school cul-de-sac. We were down like probably 2 blocks from his house.
I would
'Cause
say
it was
logically
a
you
bridge
should
across the
just
street.
walk your bike back to your friend's house.
Yes. You know what we did? We're like, hey, isn't there a bike shop down the street from the grocery store, like a mile and a half down the road?
Well,
Yeah, let's go and get this bike fixed. Didn't look and see are they even open on Memorial Day. They weren't, by the way.
now is this in high school?
This is middle school.
Middle school?
This
Okay.
is probably seventh grade.
Okay.
So what do? We bike. Yes, we take the bike with no brakes down a road with it varies between having no sidewalk with very steep hills, and sidewalks with crabapple trees that drop in the road. It will flip you off your bike if you have brakes.
Yeah.
So my friend's riding, I'm riding behind him, and we do it. We're going for it. I almost died. I think I almost died like 8 times in that trip. I had to like crash my bike like 8 times. And then like so like bloody and bruised and sore, we pull up at this bike shop and we just see a note on the door like closed for Memorial Day.
And then the heart sank. You're like, well, I guess I gotta ride this shit back.
And then I just kind of looked at him. He kind of looked at me. I'm like, well, you know what this means, right? He's like, yep. Let's go to GameStop right next door.
Nice. Good choice. Logic dictates GameStop.
Yep. So we went to GameStop. We bought a game, and then because they're always open because they hate their employees, and then we biked back home. Me and my friends still laugh about this story to this day because there was just so much stuff like that just happened on that way. It was like It was like a Narnia-esque journey of bullshit. Like, at one point, the road was closed, and my friend's like, I think I know a shortcut. And we just bike through a random marsh.
Well,
like, we just turned, and we're like, all right, let's go. I'm following this guy. Like, he knows the area. He just cuts through some woods. There's a little bike path, and it's flooded. He's like, it's not that deep. We're swimming, like, half our tires are in the fucking marsh. We're just riding, like, it's fine.
God.
It's fine. Then we end up, like a quarter mile down the road in some guy's backyard who comes outside, like, shaking his fist at us because we're fucking up his flowers. And we're like, well, my bad, dude. Yeah. He's like yelling like some foreign language, and I'm like, all right. So we just kind of ride off his lawn and then keep going, like, and then it was dumb. It was a fun dumb. It was one of those stories like you only have as a kid. Like, it's like, this is stupid. This is the worst road trip ever, but it's also the greatest road trip of all time.
I will say this. Well, nah, you know what? I'll leave it for my interview. Fuck it. Just make yourself a little note, since you're going to be the one interviewing me, to ask about young, dumb adventures.
Yep.
Because
Also,
I will say mine came mostly after I got my license.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, then it was, let me think. Oh, it was the time Mother Nature tried to kill me. Well, I cursed Mother Nature, and then she got revenge.
Okay.
So, my friend used to live in the house, because I would walk in his house every day after school, and basically I lived there for a whole summer. One year. Like, I think I stayed there for, I want to say I stayed there for like 72 straight days. Never came home. Did it with like one pair of clothes. I did it with like, I think, a bag of like 4 outfits, and I stayed there for the whole summer and never came home. And yeah, fun times. He was like the angry kid that got in trouble for like punching a glass wall and then got suspended because some girl said he threatened to shoot her. And I'm like, no, he didn't. I was standing right there. No, he didn't. He left, and then he punched the window trying to punch the door thing, and then broke the glass, and then left. And you freaked out and fell on the ground, and then she felt threatened for her life. And I'm like, no, I was right there. I was coming out the bathroom. I saw the whole thing. And that reminds me of another story. My friend Kevin, fight breaks out. Everybody at a table in lunchtime, everybody's held back to ask what happened. Like, everybody at the table is held back. What happened in this fight? My friend Kevin walks up, sits down, looks the principal right in the eye, and goes, I saw the whole thing. And then just looks over to me and goes, so what happened? I'm like, you just wasted our whole time. Like, he makes his big grandiose entrance, like, look, I saw the whole thing. I know exactly what happened. Sits down in the chair next to me. As soon as everybody's looking at him, like, all right, what happened? Teacher looks at him. He looks at me and then goes, hey, dude, what happened?
That's fucked up.
I'm like, dude, why? Why would you say that? What happened?
He's putting the spotlight on you.
And I know. But he made this big grander entrance, like he knew exactly what happened, and then looks at me and goes, what happened? And I'm like, why would you ask me this question? You're an asshole. But anyway, because then I got in trouble somehow, because school logic, and we all got held back more, and then I was sitting in the office. Got into a fight in middle school. That was interesting. And it's really funny. I didn't get into a lot of fights, but it was mainly because I was always told, because I was a school of choice kid, I was always told that if you got suspended, they could kick you out the district, right? So I was like, well, all right, I like coming here. I have a lot of friends here. I don't want to get kicked out of the district for fighting. I later figured out that was not true, and then I whipped some ass. But before that, I was very, picky about the fights I started. So like one kid, I was in audio engineering class. And we were fucking around in Fruit Loops doing some stuff. And I was sitting there and I was like, this is boring. So I'm spinning a mic cord and it lost its way from me. And I slapped this kid in the head with the mic cord. And I was like, oh man, I'm sorry. He had a fence. He's like, this is middle school. I was probably like 5'8", 5'9". He was like 5'1". He stands up all pissed off.
This was middle school? This wasn't even high school?
Yeah, no.
And you were in an audio what class?
Like an audio engineering class.
Man. Time difference on that one.
And just the good district. Like, they just literally had the stuff to do it. Like,
Oh
I would
yeah,
have,
all
like,
the kids
keyboard
in
for a
all
lot,
the
too.
kids in this district had fucking TVs in their cars. I remember.
Pretty much. I mean, everybody getting picked up was like, "Oh, Mercedes Benz, a BMW, with this, with this, with this."
All right, so how did this play out when you hit the kid in the head with the mic
I mean,
cable?
I hit him in the head. He got upset. He swung at me, and I was just like, "I don't want to fight you." Like, so I was way bigger than him. I just put him in a headlock and just held him there.
Yeah,
And the teacher was a terrible teacher. We were fighting, like, struggling for like 5 minutes back there. Like, I had him in a headlock and was holding him there, and he's like swinging at me, but his arms were too short to actually do anything. And it's really funny, and nobody, like, I'm still mad at this girl to this day. Teacher didn't notice shit for like 5 minutes. She's just teaching the lecture in the class, like on her fucking overhead with her with her overhead marker, teaching class. And then this one girl raises her hand. She's like, "Hey, kids in the back are fighting." And I'm like, this is barely a fight at this point. I'm just holding this kid by the neck. He's fine. I'm fine. We're all fine. And then she escorted us out. And then I got sent home for like a week.
Yeah, I'm just holding this kid by the head.
It's fine. Like, it's fine. Just continue on with your lecture. I wish I had the snarkiness I have now as a kid. It would make so many situations so much more fun.
Yeah, but just think back how much more trouble you'd be in.
Well, first off, if I knew what I knew now, I would have kicked so much ass back then. It wouldn't have been funny. I would have just been kicking ass left and right. There are a lot of people that deserved ass kickings, but I thought I would have got kicked out of the district and lost all my friends, so I made a sacrifice. Then I realized after that situation, after that fight, I realized that was not the case, and then I commenced to kick ass and get into fights.
Yeah.
I speared this one guy through a door. That was fun.
Well, I mean, I'm sure I've done that at some of my bonfires. I used to do really dumb things. Like, I could blame it on the alcohol, but I blame it on my own stupidity.
No, this was in the middle of science class.
Well, okay.
Kid was talking shit, and he was just like, "Yeah." He was like, "I'm like, dude, you say one thing, I'm gonna put you through that door." He's like, "You're not gonna do shit." I'm like, "Oh, all right." And he said something else, and then I was like, "All right, that's it." I got up. I got up, and it's fucked up because I got up. I calmly walked over to him, took like 10 steps back, and he's just standing there like hands on his hips, all proud, like he's not gonna fucking do it. And then I just literally shoulder charged him through the door, and I was like, "Well, there you go." Ta-da!
God damn it, Devin.
And then I got sent home. That was fun.
All right. So those are some memorable stories of your school life.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Oh yeah, Mother Nature.
Mother Nature. How'd you fuck this up?
It was raining, and I was like, "Mother Nature, fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. You suck. It's raining." We were gonna go do something. I think, because I was big into filming movies back then. Me and my friend, we were filming like little movies and shit with action figures and like our friends.
Okay.
We were filming. So we were like, gonna go film some stuff, and then it started raining real bad. I'm like, "God damn it! Like, fuck you, Mother Nature." Literally got in the house. We used to do, because his basement, we would take like 3 steps and then just jump downstairs, which is a really dumb idea, because his basement, he had like 12 steps to his basement. It was very like shallow, steep stairs. We would take like 3 steps to jump downstairs. So I take 3 steps and jump, and my friend jumped at the same time, and I landed on the ground. He had carpet, and my foot hit the carpet, and I heard this sloshing sound, and I'm like, "Oh, that's not good."
Oh, Jesus.
And then I return on the light, and it's just raining in his basement.
Oh. Well,
I'm like, that's not good. That's bad. That's bad news. And then another time, my friend went upstairs to use the bathroom and flooded the bathroom. I'm playing a game. I think I'm playing Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. It's exactly what I'm playing, actually. Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3, sitting on his couch in his basement playing Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. And I'm like, "Man, he's been gone a long ass time. That would be a massive shit." He flushes the toilet. He flushes the toilet because he had like a tile ceiling, like one of those like cheap tile ceilings you see like a store. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. He flushes the toilet, and then I just hear this drip, 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 drip. I'm like, "What the fuck is that?" And then one of the tiles just fall out, and then all this water falls down. And I'm just looking from when the basement flooded. He had all these toys on his floor, like all these toys when he was a kid. Like, it was just all these toys. Like, you couldn't walk down. It was like a path. You could walk a path down to like the couch and a path back. That was it. There was no room for anything down there. It was just all these toys when he was a kid. just kind of scattered around the basement everywhere, and just a bunch of stuff. So after the carpet stuff, they pull the carpet out, and we had these big giant piles of toys. So then I look over, and I just see all this water dripping. I'm like, why the fuck is there water dripping? And then the ceiling tile just explodes, and all this water comes out. And I'm just standing there looking at it, and I'm like, and this shows you how like often shit like this happened. Literally, I heard the match load for the game, and I just turned around and I'm like, all right, well, whatever. And just went back to playing my game. And he came downstairs. He's like, don't ask questions. I'm like, nah.
All right, so I got to ask, okay, since you just brought up this story, it's going to be a two-part question. And the second one is not going to be the question that you expect it to be, but if you want, you can elaborate. First, man, you ever clog a toilet? I think we all have. It's pretty safe to say we all have. Second part of this question. Isn't it the fucking worst when you clog someone else's toilet?
It is.
like just that sheer panic that goes through you, like, oh fuck, what am I supposed to do? How am I going to explain this?
It's really shitty when you clog someone else's toilet and then you look and they're like, okay, it's no big deal. I'm just going to grab the plunger. And you look and they don't have a fucking plunger.
Yep.
You're like, no!
Yep. Now, listen, okay, you clog a toilet in public. Who the fuck cares? That's not your problem at that point.
That's Jim Bob's job. Jim Bob, it's all you.
Jim Bob, you get paid to clean that shit up. But if you're over your best friend's house, or heaven fucking forbid, you go over your date's parents' house or something like that, and you clog that toilet, whew.
That's a make or break moment. Like,
Man.
you can play it off one of two ways. You walk out, you're just like, yo, hey, look, future father-in-law, I just took a massive shit and clogged your toilet. Where's the plunger?
Man, okay. Now I gotta ask. You know what? I said I wasn't gonna ask.
Now I kind of wanna. Now I wanna like come over your house, clog your toilet, but I wanna like go in the bathroom with like my backpack and have like a military uniform or like a hazmat suit, and then just come out of the bathroom in a hazmat suit. Like, yo, you got a plunger? Don't ask questions. You got. And just don't address the hazmat suit. Just take the plunger and just walk back in and close the door.
It's like that Bob Saget scene in Dumb and Dumberer.
Yep.
There's shit all over the walls.
You
now
walk out in a full hazmat suit. Don't address it. Just grab a plunger and walk back and close the door. You probably like god awful noises. Then he just walks out like outside of the hazmat suit, like nothing happened. Like, what's up?
Now let me ask you this, Devin. Has that ever happened to you at like a girl's house that you just started dating or something?
No, thank God.
Man, well,
haven't you?
Let's not talk about it. I said we didn't have to. We didn't have to elaborate. This is your interview, Devin.
We will tomorrow. Anyway, it's a make or break moment because it's like it's one of those things. If you play it off just right, it's hilarious, and people are just like, "Oh, that's right over there. It's fine." But if you play it off wrong, it goes so south so fast.
It is the worst feeling, but it is the funniest fucking thing when like the next day when you're looking back at it. I guess if you're about to break up with her, it's fine. Like if you're breaking up with her that day, like you had the conversation. That's the
like,
best way to break up with someone.
You just walk out like, hey, by the way, I just clogged your toilet and this ain't gonna work out. You just walk out the door.
Hey, this isn't working. This isn't working. It's not me. It's you and your toilet.
Best way to do it. You just stick the plunger in the water, pull it out so it's wet, walk out like, yo, like this plunger, this relationship ain't working. Just throw it in the ground and walk out.
God damn it.
Like this plunger, this relationship is
Fuck. All right.
Like your toilet, this relationship is no longer working.
Shit. All right. Growing up, I mean, what kind of
your toilet? You are full of shit, madam, and I'm out.
Fuck this shit. I'm out.
Oh shit.
What kind of hobbies did you have? I mean, kind of growing up as a kid. I know you and I both at one point we were both big into magic. Super
into magic. I was the only kid I was in magic in elementary school, 4th grade.
Yeah.
When I started playing magic, I was the only. I taught my friend Alexa how to play magic. She was the only one that would play with me. And then I met my friend Leo, and his brother Vlad introduced me to D&D.
Right on. All right. And you said you took what? You took Taekwondo or karate?
I took Taekwondo and karate
Oh shit!
for about 3 or 4 years there, and then I played baseball.
It is amazing how many of my friends have taken Taekwondo.
I mean, I think everybody in like the 90s took Taekwondo. Like it was the thing to do. Like there
Not
was
me.
1,000 Taekwondo studios out there, places. You just like, oh, I do this. I mean, I don't even like Taekwondo. Like, so okay,
We wouldn't have been
Taekwondo
able
is
to
a-
afford it, I don't think. Even if I wanted
Taekwondo
to
is a
do it.
great. Well, that was a thing. Like that was a thing with me. Like my dad stopped paying child support, so we couldn't afford it anymore. And then it was one of those things where like I grew up kind of fast in a weird time. Like when I was younger growing up, I grew up really fast because of that situation specifically. Because like I remember one day I came like downstairs and my grandmother was talking because my grandmother at the time she was like a house keeper. She'd go over like fold, wash clothes, laundry, all that stuff.
Mhm.
Clean up the house, cook, pick up kids after school, cook for them, clean for them, all that stuff. Good stuff. Really, 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 really good people. Actually, they're all still like kind of family friends to this day. But yeah. So she did that, and they were just like, yeah, we can't afford to have Devin in like Taekwondo and have him in baseball. And then my grandmother was just like, nope, he wants to do it. We're gonna do it. I don't care if we got to eat beans every night. We're gonna make it work. And then I was just like, I don't know, like something clicked in my kid brain, and I was just like, I don't want people doing that for me, like And then like slowly but surely, I started hating Taekwondo and baseball. I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't like it anymore.
I used to also play baseball.
I love baseball.
Did you have a nickname growing up playing baseball?
I didn't, but I was the kid in baseball who I always never listened to the coaches, but called my own play, but it always worked. It never not like I think I had pretty good baseball sense. Like I would like he'd be like, oh, if this is happening, do this. I'd be like, no, this kid can't hit for shit. I'm moving up.
Now is this little league or high school?
I played little league all the way up to kids pitch, and then I quit right around that time because, like I said, we couldn't afford it anymore. So I quit, and then I just never picked it back up.
What the fuck is kids pitch?
Because little league, they used to have like one guy pitch, like they'd have like the coach pitch of like the.
Okay. Little league meant something different up here, I guess.
Well,
That's like junior little league or something.
Yeah. Well, that's what it was, and then they went up to kids pitch, which was like you did kids pitch like travel league, which is what I was doing, where it was kids pitching travel. That's what it was. So it was travel with kids pitching.
Okay.
So I skipped. I guess I did like you could say like junior little league, and then I didn't do regular little league. I went straight into kids pitch little league, which was travel little league.
Okay.
So like we would travel around and do like different schools in different areas and districts in Hollywood. Second.
I gotcha. Yep. For those of you listening, there was a knock at Devin's door.
Yeah, it's I'm good.
Yeah. See, like in my little league, like we did it in Manchester down at a traffic circle. It was just a series of like 3 baseball fields that were all like kind of connected, and on the weekends and stuff, just a bunch of teams would show up at that field, and all the kids. We had pitchers, designated.
Yeah, we had like an
kids
actual
on our
little
team
league
who were
club. Like it was
pitchers.
actually like a club team, like a little league club team originally. So then every you play, and then every like area would be like maybe like 5 or 6 different cities, and they would all have like little teams. I floated around. I played first base, third base, then I went to shortstop. Well, I played shortstop a lot, and then I put on a little weight. Then I went to first base, third base, and then I wanted to go move to catcher. I wanted to move to catcher, and then that was right around the time that I quit. When I went to kids pitch, I played catcher.
Yeah, that's where they ended up having me.
I love
also
playing
bounced
catcher.
around. I started shortstop. Didn't like it.
I was MVP All-Star.
Then they had
4
me
years in a row.
They had me in left field, and I really fucking hated that.
Oh God, no! I hated playing outfield. Outfield was terrible. The only time I liked playing outfield was when I didn't feel like doing shit, and because like especially in little league, who the fuck's hitting the outfield?
Well, that was
you.
That's me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I. So it's really funny because like you learn like I at a certain point I learned myself proper bat and like how to properly bat, and then also how to lift the ball more because because it was they would throw more like laser beam straight pitches, especially when it was like the coaches pitching
Right.
in Little League. They would throw like these like softball easy pitches, but the thing about like meatballs is at that age they usually just bounce back up the middle or like go or they beam. So we started getting to a point where it was like, no, I knew how to lift the ball, so I would actually lift it and carry it out to like right field, left field, home run, shit like that. I would do that. It was super fun, but I got really because the reason why I didn't go to play Little League, like true Little League with like kids pitching in Little League, and moved to travel was because that was right around the time where people started saying, oh, they didn't give participation trophies yet, but they stopped keeping score.
Oh, see, I grew up in that era where we didn't get all that. People didn't hold the losers' hands and shit like that. Like,
oh no, like
it was either these people are the winner, these fucking kids you get the fuck off the field.
But they stopped keeping score. But we always kept score. Like my grandmother with all my games, she kept score every time. She'd have like blades of grass in her pocket and like count who had more blades of grass.
Right.
And it's like you look and see, and it's really funny because it's like you look and see, and you can tell who the losers are. Look at their fucking faces. They know they lost. They know they got destroyed. Look at their faces. Look at their little sad faces running around.
Right.
Yeah. Me, and
then
like my
then you gotta do that thing at the end of the
Chad,
game where you're shaking all the other teammates. So like you walk in that line where you shake the other team's hands.
Oh yeah, like shake other hands and stuff. Yeah. So when that started happening, I was like, and that's when I went over to the Kids Pitch Travel League. And then we started doing that, and I was looking at joining the Little Caesars Baseball Club, which is like around here. That's kind of where they travel. They go up against teams from other states, but also that's kind of like the founding formation to play like high school. Because like my middle school didn't have a real baseball team, so you would have had to play travel in middle school, and it was really expensive. We couldn't afford it, so I had to drop it, unfortunately.
Gotcha.
Like I've been looking at getting back into baseball now, like finding a team now to go play some baseball in. Because I love baseball so much. I'm a stats guy, so that's one of the main reasons why I laugh. Like people like baseball is the most boring sports to watch. It is if you're not a stats guy. If you're a stats guy, it's fun.
Yep.
But yeah.
All right. I mean,
what questions you got for me, sir?
I mean, we have a couple. Did you have any other hobbies that you wanted to pitch out there other than baseball and Magic?
Just video games. I mean, I grew up in that era. Video games.
Yeah. Right.
I was playing Duck Hunt when I was in diapers. Then I used to walk down to the arcade down the street, which was not safe.
That makes me feel old. Actually,
it was different times. It's fine. I don't. Let me see. When year did Duck Hunt originally come out? Don't feel that old. Duck Hunt came out in 1984, so it was the Super. It was on the Super NES, so it wasn't that bad. Don't feel that bad.
No, Duck Hunt was for sure on the NES.
No, it was. I was like, I played it on the Super NES.
Oh, all right.
So don't feel bad. So don't feel that old. It came out in 84, so there you go. It came out 8 years before us one.
So let's move past your school.
Yep.
Your school period. What are some of the jobs that you've held over the years?
Oh boy.
You don't have to name them all. I mean, if you.
Oh no, it's not that many, but it's just really funny. Like I've had a really interesting career.
Okay.
Path. So I started my first job I had when I was in high school, or my senior year. My first job was at CVS. Worked at CVS for 5 years. While I was at CVS, I was a cashier. I was a photo technician. I was a kind of a shift manager, and then I quit around the time when I was an assistant manager. Well, it was like a quit fired. Like I quit, and then 2 weeks later they called and said, "We don't accept your resignation. You're fired," because I got in an argument with my district manager over something. And I'm like, "Well, that's fine. I already started a new job, so I don't really care if you fired me. Like whatever." So that happened. My last 2 years I was working there, I was also doing medical data entry for a traveling dentist office. Like a traveling dentist van.
Okay.
So I did that. And then I got into an argument with a lady there about, she was just kind of a bitter old lady. Like It was she's one of those people, like, she would literally hear us having fun and get upset that we were having fun. She'd be like, I can't hear my phone call. I'm like, you're a room over from us, lady. Like, we're not even that loud. Like, we're laughing and talking, like, literally, me and my friend, it wasn't even a full cubicle. It was like a half cubicle. So, like, it was a desk, maybe like a foot and a half of wall in front of me, and then my friend. So we would, and then it was a full cubicle to, like, your right and left. So you had a full cubicle, but over the top, you could see each other, right? Like, I could reach up and just pass paper to him, and we could see each other. We were both kind of tall. We could see each other, and we talk. So I look over, we talk to him. Hey, how's it going? Laugh, whatever. Same thing. Flip it. Hey, how's it going? Laugh, whatever. And that was it. Like, we would just laugh about, YouTube videos or stupid stuff, and she was just super upset all the time. I remember one time it was free ice cream day at Dairy Queen. And this is when I kind of was fed up and like, I'm not coming back after the summer. After this, I'm not coming back after the summer because we got furloughed over the summer because it was a school program. It was a school mobile dentist program, so it wouldn't really run over the summer that much. They kind of went down to minimal staff. And it was Dairy Queen free cone day. Me and my friends got up to go get a Dairy Queen cone. I punched out. My manager came back. He's like, hey, can you, my state manager, because I was in charge of a couple of states for doing data entry for Pennsylvania, Indiana, and Illinois. I did those 3 states. So I was doing data entry for those 3 states. She came back. She's like, hey, before you go on your lunch, can you just input this real quick? I have this kid in the chair and there's no form for him. Can you just do it? I'm like, sure, no problem. So I punch back in, do the form in like, we got to the point where we were doing like forms in like 45 seconds. Like, it was really simple, really easy-ish. As long as you could read the handwriting, you're supposed to be able to enter in a form in under a minute. That was the goal. So 45 seconds, did that, but they're like, you can't enter a form if you're off the clock. So I had to punch back in. Forgot to punch back out after that, walked over and left. So she's making copies. She notices the fact that I don't punch out. So she's watching me that hard do work. She notices the fact that I don't punch back out. I walk back in with an ice cream cone, and she pulls me in a meeting and like rails me about, I'm scamming the company. I'm this, I'm that. I'm like, I went across the street to get an ice cream cone on my lunch break. I forgot to punch out. I'm sorry. Like, I if you saw me, you were watching me that hard. You saw me punch out, punch back in, and then forget to punch back out. It happened. Like, I'm sorry.
Right.
Okay, just fix it. Like, I can go talk to Chanel and fix it. I talked to Chanel, who was the manager, who was like one of the owners at the time. I told her, like, hey, this is what went on. She's like, oh, no problem. She said she's don't let it happen again. It's all good. Fixed it. That was it. That wasn't enough for her. She railed me for like 25 minutes. I got to the point where I was like, you know what? You're now wasting more time doing this than I, air quotes, was wasting the company's time by going to get an ice cream cone. So I'm going back to work. So then I went back to work at my desk. She started yelling at me. Then I put an earbud in and put my earbuds in. And then she got upset about that. And then, yeah. So then I just went home for the day. I was like, I'm done. That was that. So I did that. And then I was also temporarily a mover. I helped my friend had a moving company, or started a moving company, short-lived. But he started a moving company. I used to help him do that. And I was doing CVS, the data entry company, and the moving company while I was also going to school. Well, dropped a lot of balls with that one because I was like, you know what? I stopped going to school because I was like, I need to pay these bills that I got, because with money comes bills. That's how life works, unfortunately. Like, it's funny, you don't have a job, right? And before your first job, you never really have bills, right?
Yep.
The second you get your first job, you are now in a situation where you have to be employed forever. Or have to have income forever, because the second you have money, you create bills. So it's one of those funny things. So like, that's what happened. I had to kind of get these bills. So I was like, all right, cool, whatever. So I was like, well, I need to work because I need to pay all these bills. School is, for me right now, was all grant money, so I didn't have to worry about a student loan. So I'm like, well, I'm just going to pause school for right now and do this. Well, that turned into longer and longer and longer, because I was getting like C's anyway. Like, I know I can get better than this. Like, I know I can, but I just can't. I don't have the time to put energy to put into school and study. I really don't. I was working like 16 hours a day. So I was like, I don't have the time. So I let it go. Well, moving on from there, when I left, I was a professional fundraiser for about a week. When I was a professional fundraiser, the guy in the first day, I'm like, I got to get out of here. This is sketchy as hell. He's like, hey, by the way, if the person you're ever talking to on the phone asks you how much is going to the charity and how much is going to us, you're not going to make the sale. Wait, what? Why? He's like, oh, because it's like 95% go to, or it was like 90, it was 90% went to them and 10% went to the charity. I'm like, huh. That's not fair. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, hey, that's not fair. So then, sure enough, every time somebody asks that question on like our practice calls, and this was a fucking weird thing. We had to answer 3 phone calls at a time. The same time. Like 3 active phone conversations at the exact same time. How did they do this? You had 3 earbuds. Oh, yeah, 2 earbuds and a headpiece. So you had an earbud in one ear. Your right ear was your right monitor, 1 phone call. Your left ear was your left monitor, left phone call. Then you had a bone conducting headset that went over your ear and just like sat on underneath your ear and would project sound into through the bone, so you didn't have to have it in your ear.
Right.
Through the bone, and you hear it in your head. So they're like, oh, and you'll be able to tell the difference because it sounds very different. Well, so I had to answer. So I did that for a while. I had like a week and a half, 2 weeks. I did that. I had to answer 3 phone calls. I did really good. Money was decent. It was like $14 an hour plus commission if you made enough donations and stuff like at the top. But I'm like, after a while, I'm like, this is morally wrong because I'm like calling like 80-year-old ladies at 2 a.m. like, yay, listen, do you want to donate to the veterans? And she's just like, no, or yes, my son was a veteran. I want to give all the money. And then I was just like, this is terrible. Like, let's not do this. So I was looking for another job. The hospital called me. He's like, hey, you want to come be a tester? I was like, yes. So then I quit on the spot and walked out. Then I had my training for that. I became a diagnostics engineer for doing eye test, basically.
Okay.
Doing eye tests for the doctor and stuff. Did that. And then while I was there, this is where my career path takes a really weird turn. While I was there, I went from that to being a medical scribe. So I was in the room with the doctor scribing notes. From that, I went into being I was almost published. It was so close. I lost the picture I was runner-up to a almost published medical photographer.
Okay.
With no experience. I was taking the pictures of inside of eyes, and I took this picture, and it was like a really weird diagnosis. And the doctor's like, "Yo, hey, I want to submit this to this magazine, to go along with like this piece I was writing." And I was like, "Sure." So he did it, and then right when he was submitting it in, it was like one other person that was also submitting at the same time had a picture there in the office, and they beat me out. But they had like 15 awards under their belt. I had none. I had no training. I learned how to do this a month and a half ago. So I was almost published in a medical journal with no experience. So there you go. That's my claim to fame. And then I got a job in IT, and I've been doing that since.
Now, which job were you at when me and you first met?
CVS.
Okay.
I was at CVS. I was a manager at the time, and I was listening to D&D stuff, hating my life, contemplating suicide. And that's when I fell into Dungeons and just randomness, and then that's when Distractions came about, and then that's when me and you played in that game together, and we've been pretty much, that's when I started guest spotting on the podcast a lot, and then we played in that game together, and pretty much we've been inseparable since.
Yeah. And that's now who was it who actually, now as far as Dungeons and Distractions goes, or Distractions Media, I guess, who was it who pulled you aboard for this?
I think it was Colin.
Like for on a full-time basis.
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was Colin unofficially. When he pulled me on board for those 1 characters that were kind of fighting you guys. in the distractions thing, that was kind of when he was like, "Hey, it's not going to be all the time, Or I don't know, it might have been you guys at the time when I was playing my GIF
Yeah, no, I played in that game with
with
you
me. Right. It was
I was
after
my
it was
I was
shortly
my
after that he is like, "Hey, do you want to just be a part of this?" I think, kind of as like a permanent member on the discussion episode thing. And if I'm not mistaken, it was him brought me in, or it was after. Maybe it was after John. I can't remember that far back. It's been a long time. I
yeah.
feel like it was Colin. I feel like it was Colin because I feel like I was kind of a staple at the point when he was still a part of the podcast. So it would have had to have been him.
Well, I know we were definitely reoccurring
Yeah,
characters
I
in like
think it
the
was
one
like so
shot
much.
stuffs.
I know it was like so much a reoccurring thing though. At a point where it was just like, yeah, you guys are kind of officially in. We just weren't a part of the main game.
Yeah, and then he kind of he did the spin off. He did like we dove into the 5e stuff.
Yeah, and
That's
then
where Roy and
and then I,
Abraham
yeah,
happened.
exactly. Yeah. So
Um,
yeah. So it had to be Colin that brought me in at that point.
Now, after Colin left, like the 5e games kind of went off to the side. He no longer DM'd for distractions. Which member was it who asked you to stick around?
I think it was maybe Austin. It was
Austin?
Austin. I think Austin, Chris, and John are the ones who asked me to stick around. They're like, "Hey, we're gonna keep doing this. Do you want to do it?"
Right.
And then I think my first official like reoccurring game was your Vamp game.
Gotcha. All right. Poor Gerard.
And over Gerard, and we've been together ever since.
Well, I mean, that was my second to last question. Was how did you become part of Distractions Media and or associated with Distractions Media? My last question for you, Devin, man. I mean, looking back on your life as a whole, I guess. Like, do you have any like big regrets or any big things that you would change?
This is an interesting question. Day to day, I joke and say I don't joke. I'm serious day to day, and I say I would if I could go back in time, I would change so much stuff. But really, I question would I be me if I did. It's one of those things. If I went
Right.
back in time and I changed a bunch of stuff, there's so much stuff I could have done differently. Like I could go back to high school and say, you know what, I wish I was just an active participant in high school. Like I wish I just was actually doing stuff. Like I was that weird kid where like I kind of had friends in every group, but I really wasn't a part of any group except for like one or and then eventually I had my own group of like 4 friends who I still have now to this day. And that was kind of that. But I was that weird kid where like I could sit at anybody's table, but I was like the odd man out. But I wasn't not welcome, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like, people on the football team. I was good friends with like a bunch of people on the football team, but we weren't really like best friends. And then I had people who were in the drama club. I had people who were in choir because I did choir for 4.5 years. So I had friends all over the place. People in band. I played saxophone in band for a while. So I had friends all over the place. It just high school was just one of those things for me. It was literally just I became a background character in my own story.
Okay.
That's kind of the best way to put it. I was a background character in my own story. So if I could say anything, I would just be more of an active participant of high school. But even then, like, I don't know what that would change. And
Right.
My life sucks now, but it's my life. I like it.
Well, it can't suck that bad. I'm part of it.
It's true. It's true. I would say in a general curve, like where my life could have been, my life sucks. But at the same time, hey, I like it. It's my life. It's my life.
It's my life. I don't know the rest of that song. I don't sing. Anyway.
Now or never. I ain't gonna forever.
So yeah, that's all the questions I got for you, man. I feel like even we've known each other for quite a while now, and I'd like to think that I know you pretty well. I even learned a couple things today. So
That's good. I'm sure I'll learn a lot about you tomorrow.
Probably
Or
not.
tomorrow, but when we record this.
probably not.
Now, I mean, now me and Donnie.
Anything that you don't already know, I
Donnie.
bet you could guess about my life.
I mean, I may see things like really like what is going to be like. Yeah, I was like 7, and I took ballet when I was 7. Like really.
Well, no, I've already figured out for Donnie's interview, I'm just going to re-release this one under a new title. I'll go through and every time I say Devin, I'll just put Donnie in. I will actually edit that one episode.
Dub it, Donnie.
Yeah. So, because you two are pretty much the same person.
I mean, I would laugh if like he doesn't listen to this. He tells the story. It's like, yep, this is pretty much Devin's life verbatim.
Yeah.
Me and Donnie are actually the same person.
So,
Donnie's just me, but I was a little bit whiter.
There you go. But all right, man. Well, thank you for sitting down and being willing to participate in this interview.
Not a problem.
And, I hope the listeners enjoyed it. And
Probably not.
Well, if they didn't, fuck them. That's all I have to say about that. This is your goddamn SU episode for the week. Either like it or hate it. I don't really give two shits. How's that? You still listened. Whether you liked it or hated it, you still listened. So, got your download. Devin, do you want to tell everybody where they can find you on the internet if they want to comment on your life or ask you more questions?
I do actually, but I also need to do a moment with Zen, don't I?
Oh yeah, moment of Zen with Devin.
And kind of going off what I said in high school about the high school thing, I'm going to give us a quote from one Mr. Abraham Lincoln. In the end, it's not the years in your life that count; it's the life in your years.
Boom.
There you go.
Mic drop.
Bam. And then I pick it back up slowly, like, oh, you can follow me on Twitter at DMP_Pookie and on Twitch at PookIlfin.
Pookie the Panda. I learned this today.
You did.
I'm never going to forget it now. Man, it's dope. Now, what about on eBay? Where can people find you on eBay, Devin?
Oh, you guys can find me on eBay doing it for the gram.
Doing it for the gram. All right. And as always, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you. You can hear my dad in the background, I'm sure.
That's fine.
Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. Get us to Russia. That's our only goal. Me and Devin, we're very.
You know what? If I have one wish in life, if I can just have one wish in life, it's this episode hits Russia.
Oh, man,
this episode hits Russia. I mean,
sweet.
my nickname out of high school was the Russian for no reason.
If this episode does make it to Russia, whoever the first Russian listener is, man, contact us via Twitter, Instagram. Hit us up on the Facebook on facebook.com/simplyunprofessional.
What?
The
day we get Russian listeners, we need to have a vodka drunk episode. We should sit down,
game.
Drink vodka and just talk about Russian things.
Vodka was the one alcohol I've ever had a hangover on. It was one time. I did not enjoy it. I enjoyed it while I was doing it. I did not enjoy it the day after.
We're gonna do a whole hour on oh my god, we're gonna do a whole hour. Sorry to interrupt you. We're gonna do a whole hour of just drinking vodka and talking about Ivan from Rocky. That's all we're gonna do.
All right. Fair enough. Let's do it. So get us to Russia, folks. As always, thank you for listening. Fuck Booster Gold, and I don't think I said anything where you guys can find me. Jax Forest Stalker, all one word. You know. If you don't know where you can find me on the internet, listen to another episode. I say it every other episode. But anyway, fuck Booster Gold, and see you next time.
Bye.
Get on. Soviet Russian podcast listens to you.